March 2020. The world stopped, streets emptied, cities fell silent, and a sense of uncertainty swept across the globe. The COVID-19 pandemic forced everyone indoors, and life as we knew it was put on pause. Offices shuttered, events canceled, and gathering in groups became unthinkable. The heartbeat of business and culture, conferences, concerts, classrooms, suddenly flatlined. For most businesses, it was a disaster. Revenue streams dried up overnight, and the future looked bleak for entire industries built on bringing people together. But for one startup, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hopin. While others scrambled to adapt, Hopin was ready to meet the moment. Hopin wasn't just another video call. It was a virtual events platform promising to recreate the entire conference experience online. It aimed to bridge the gap between physical and digital, offering a sense of presence and participation. Main stage keynotes, networking, vendor booths, all digital, all accessible from home. Attendees could explore, interact, and learn, just as they would in person. For event organizers facing ruin, Hopin was a lifeline. It offered hope when hope was in short supply. Instead of canceling, they could move everything online. Suddenly, the impossible became possible. Events could go on, just in a new form. The platform let attendees jump between sessions, network, and explore, just like a real event. Demand exploded overnight. Organizers and attendees alike marveled at how quickly they could adapt. Suddenly everyone, from universities to corporations, needed Hopin. Schools, nonprofits, and even governments rushed to find ways to keep people connected. The entire events industry became its market, almost instantly. Hopin's reach expanded across borders and industries, uniting people in ways never seen before. Hopin was in the right place at the right time, offering a solution that felt like magic. Early users were amazed. They found themselves part of a new digital frontier, where distance no longer mattered. It felt futuristic, a new way to connect in a disconnected world. The platform's innovation sparked excitement and curiosity everywhere. The name Hopin captured the spirit. Seamless, spontaneous interaction. It was about possibility, about what could happen when people come together, even if only virtually. As isolation set in, Hopin offered community and continuity. It became a place where people could gather, share, and support each other, even from afar. It wasn't just a business tool, it was a social one. Virtual happy hours, reunions, and celebrations flourished, helping people feel less alone. This mix of utility and emotional resonance set the stage for explosive growth. Hopin became a symbol of resilience and adaptation in a time of crisis. Hopin became the rocket ship everyone wanted to board. The excitement was electric. Investors, users, and the media all took notice. For a moment it seemed like Hopin would change the way the world gathered, forever. The fuse was lit, and the world was ready for something new. Hopin was about to take off. The stage was set for a meteoric rise, and the world was watching, eager to see just how far this new way of connecting could go. Every great startup has a founder's story, a spark that ignites the journey and shapes the company's DNA from day one. For Hopin, that story began with Johnny Buffarat, a young, ambitious software engineer with a restless mind and a drive to solve problems that mattered to him personally. Buffarat wasn't an events guy. He was a coder at heart, but his life took a dramatic turn when a mysterious illness left him bedridden for months. Cut off from friends, colleagues, and the outside world, he experienced a deep sense of isolation that technology just couldn't fix. He craved genuine connection, but the digital tools available at the time felt cold and impersonal. They simply didn't bridge the gap between people in a meaningful way. Video calls were awkward and draining, never able to capture the energy, excitement, or spontaneity of real-life events. The magic of bumping into someone new or sharing a laugh in a crowded room was missing. So from his small London apartment, Buffarat began building what he wished existed, a platform for real, dynamic online events. He envisioned main stages, breakout rooms, and random networking, all designed to spark authentic interactions. Virtual expo halls, interactive sessions, and spontaneous conversations. He wanted to recreate the magic and serendipity of in-person gatherings, but in a digital world. For Buffarat, this wasn't just a business idea, it was a lifeline, a way to overcome his own loneliness and help others do the same. When the pandemic hit and the world went into lockdown, Buffarat's personal struggle suddenly became a global one. Millions were isolated, searching for ways to connect and collaborate from afar. But Buffarat was already ahead of the curve. He'd built the prototype for the very platform the world desperately needed. just as demand for virtual events exploded overnight. His personal journey gave Hopin authenticity, heart, and a massive head start, turning a founder's quest for connection into a global phenomenon. With the world desperate for connection, Hopin's growth was unprecedented. As the pandemic forced millions indoors, businesses, schools, and communities scrambled to find new ways to meet, work, and celebrate. Hopin emerged as the answer almost overnight, offering a virtual events platform that felt as close to real life as possible. In early 2020, Hopin was just a tiny startup with a handful of employees and a few thousand users. But as the world shifted online, the company's user base exploded. By the end of the year, Hopin had grown to hundreds of employees and millions of users, onboarding new team members at a dizzying pace to keep up with demand. Revenue skyrocketed too, over $70 million in annual recurring revenue, a figure that would have seemed impossible just months before. Investors rushed in, eager to be part of the next big thing in tech. Funding rounds ballooned in size and frequency. First $40 million, then $125 million, and soon after, a staggering $450 million. Each round pushed Hopin's valuation higher and higher. In less than 2 years, Hopin's valuation soared past $1 billion, then $5.65 billion, and finally reached an astonishing $7.75 billion. The company became a unicorn at record speed, shattering previous benchmarks. It became Europe's fastest-growing startup ever, a title that captured the imagination of the tech world and beyond. Johnny Booferhat, who had once been coding alone in his apartment, was suddenly a paper billionaire. His story became a symbol of hope and possibility for entrepreneurs everywhere. Hopin was the poster child of the pandemic tech boom. Headlines called it unstoppable, and the company was featured in every major business publication. The company hired at breakneck speed, acquiring startups to expand its capabilities and reach. Every week seemed to bring news of a new partnership or acquisition. Hopin quickly dominated the virtual events space, hosting everything from global conferences to intimate workshops, and redefining how people gathered online. For a moment, it looked like Hopin had created a new, permanent way to gather. People from all over the world could connect, learn, and celebrate together, no matter the distance. The only question left was just how big Hopin could get. With momentum on its side, the possibilities seemed endless. The sky was no longer the limit. For Hopin, it felt like the journey was only just beginning. For 18 months, Hopin thrived in a world built for it. But then, vaccines arrived. Restrictions eased. People craved real-life connection. The force that fueled Hopin's rise, lockdown, began to fade. Conference organizers returned to physical events. Demand for virtual-only platforms plummeted. Hybrid events emerged, but they were complex and less lucrative. Hopin was no longer essential, it was just another option. The psychology flipped. Virtual events went from innovative to second-rate. People were tired of screens, they wanted real experiences. Hopin's business model, built for a world in lockdown, suddenly looked shaky. The company had scaled for endless growth, but the market was shrinking fast. The tailwind was gone, the headwind was fierce, the party was ending, and Hopin was unprepared. As demand dropped, Hopin's flaws became impossible to ignore. Users complained of bugs, crashes, and unreliable features, problems that could ruin entire events. The platform's complexity frustrated both organizers and attendees. Instead of seamless connection, many found confusion and friction. Hopin's premium pricing, once justified, now seemed excessive. Cheaper tools like Zoom and Slack looked more appealing. Customers started leaving. Negative word spread. Hopin, once a savior, was now seen as a relic of lockdown. The company had scaled for a world that no longer existed. The cracks in its product and business model became gaping holes. The freefall was about to begin. The collapse was swift and brutal. In 2022, Hopin laid off 12% of staff, then nearly a third. The company, once on a buying spree, now sold assets at a loss. The goal: survival, not empire building. Its $7.75 billion valuation became a punchline as revenue evaporated. Investors faced massive losses. The final blow: Hopin sold its core events and session products to RingCentral for as little as $15 million. The dream was over. The rocket ship had crashed. Hopin, once a giant, was gone. The pandemic's tech darling had become a cautionary tale. The rise was spectacular, but the fall was even faster. The era of Hopin had ended. Amid the wreckage, one acquisition saved Hopin from total oblivion: StreamYard. Bought in 2020, StreamYard was a simple, reliable live streaming tool beloved by creators and small businesses. Unlike Hopin, StreamYard's market wasn't tied to the pandemic. As virtual events faded, demand for streaming tools kept growing. StreamYard's loyal user base and stable revenue became Hopin's lifeline. The company restructured around StreamYard, even adopting its name. It was a humbling pivot, but it worked. Hopin's original vision was gone, but StreamYard lived on. The new company focused on creators, not conferences. StreamYard's survival proved the value of having a solid, reliable asset, even when your main bet fails. What can we learn from Hopin's wild ride? First, building on a temporary trend is risky. When the world changed, Hopin's market vanished. Second, hypergrowth can be fatal. Hopin scaled too fast, burning cash and neglecting its product. Third, hype and FOMO drove its valuation to irrational heights. Fundamentals always matter. Investors chase the next big thing, ignoring warning signs. Finally, product quality is everything. When customers had options, they left for better, simpler tools. Sustainable growth beats explosive hype. The Hopin saga is a warning for founders and investors alike. Don't build on sand, no matter how high the wave. Focus on real problems, real customers, and real value. That's how you build something that lasts. Hopin's story is a modern fable, a company that soared on the winds of crisis, only to fall when the storm passed. For a moment, it seemed like the future of human connection. But trends aren't foundations. The principles of business, solving lasting needs, building sustainable models, delivering reliable products, never go out of style. Hype fades, reality returns. The higher the climb, the harder the fall. Hopin will be remembered as a ghost of the pandemic era, a lesson for dreamers and builders everywhere. In the end, the real value